Hi, this is Bella, and welcome to Bella's Topics. Um, I am basically wanting to talk about one of society's do not disturb things on society's do not disturb list. And society has a lot of those do not disturb lists, um, those topics on that list. And one of them is I stated earlier that preachers are going to hell. Um, but again, this is not a message of condemnation. It's not what you would call any deep criticism, even though it may come across like that. Sometimes it is a critique more than a put down criticism. Um, we're supposed to spare loud, cry not, lift up our voice like a trumpet. God said us for us to do that and show his people their transgressions so we can get out of the trouble that we're in before the end time comes, before we die. We don't want to die that way. And I'm talking specifically to my brothers and sisters who are preachers, ministers, evangelists of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And then, secondarily, to all our other African American people in the community who have the power to make changes, whether that power is a political office or financially. I'm talking to you too. The message comes from God to me, to you. So, um, my pet peeve, one of the things that I've observed and for years and years coming up, and as a young woman, I always wondered why Black people were always behind. We were like second class, secondary citizens. It seemed like that all the time. We had more ghettos and rundown neighborhoods than any of the other places we passed through getting to where we had to go. And as a young girl, I often wondered why, but because I was able to see um, places that look much better. And I used to wonder why it was like that. Why this? Why that? Why so many other negative things in our Black community? I mean, it looked like God wasn't helping us, but was helping everybody else, but not Black people. It wasn't helping us. It was always white people opening up things in our community and selling us things, making themselves rich off of what we were able to work for, the money we did accumulate, whatever government subsidies that were given to the African American people. White people and other foreigners came into our communities and collected that money and went back and did what they had to do in their own communities, leaving our communities constantly um, in a degraded state. It was constantly being um, becoming more run down every day, smelling horrible, looking horrible. And I often wonder why. And they're like, why are everybody else so successful? I was a young girl wondering those things. Why is everybody else so successful and not us in the Black community? But we weren't that successful, but there was always white people before there was foreign people who were willing to come in our neighborhoods and set up stores and risk their lives because we were known, number one, we were going to rob you if we got the opportunity, so they say. We were going to steal from them. We were going to rob them. But they wanted to be in our communities because that's where the money was. The money was in our community. They had opportunities um, to make money off of us. They had money. They had the opportunity to grow their wealth through our communities. But there's never all of us in that community. We didn't own a store, a grocery store. We didn't own a clothing store. We didn't own a laundromat. We didn't own anything in the community when I was a little girl. Everything was white people, white faces. You know, the few stragglers that came through, like the record man who came and sold records. He had a truck where he blasted his music from the truck, and you would come down and buy your 45 um, for $1, and the little disc that you played the record, it held the record in place. I think those were a quarter or something like that. But a pack was for 50 cents or something like that. And but we never had anything more than that. And oh, maybe the watermelon man. Watermelon, watermelon, red to the rind. The man used to shout, watermelon, watermelon, red to the rind. And but it was ragman, ragman. He used to collect old clothes and everything, and I don't even know what he used to do with them. And I never questioned that. Even to this day, I don't know what he used to do with all those rags. He would get a rag man collecting things and clothes that you didn't want. Maybe I don't know. I can't even speculate why he wanted rags and what he used to do with them. I don't know. But those were the three people you could call entrepreneurs in our black community: the record man, the watermelon man, and if anybody remember, and the rag man. I'm telling my age, but that's the only entrepreneurship we ever had. The little that did come through, and after a while they totally disappeared. The watermelon man didn't come anymore. The um the rag man didn't come anymore, and the record man stopped coming. And I think that was with the change. They started doing like an 8-track tape or something like that. And the albums came out, and I don't really know what stopped the record man. I knew it had something, a little bit of progression, a big old fat E-track. But I'm saying all that to say that we as a black community have a lot of wealth. We have a lot of wealth. Pooled together, we have great wealth. But it always seemed like God doesn't do anything for the black people. It looks like that. Our neighborhoods are the worst of all the neighborhoods. You go in the Vietnamese neighborhood, you go in the white people neighborhood, um, the Iranian neighborhood. You go in most of those neighborhoods. The Mexicans build neighborhoods, and they have some beautiful Mexican style houses. I mean, but every neighborhood is like basically a place you would desire to live. It's desirable. But most of the neighborhoods in the black community are not desirable. Now there are some, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot of times it's mixed. But the actual black neighborhoods, communities, doesn't have a lot of desirable places that you want to live. And it's looked like we don't have, it's been said that we're the poorest, economically undeveloped nation of people on the face of the earth. But and they make God look like he doesn't help us. It looks like God don't help black people. Everybody else are here on the totem pole, and we are here. And that's just not true. God has provided for all of us, all of our races. He's provided for all of us. But it's those who receive the wealth are not sharing the wealth. And that's why I say preachers are going to hell. They receive all this wealth. God has put that money in their hands. God has given you preachers the power to gain the wealth. And not just for you, you're for, and no more. It's not just for you. God put that there for you to do in the community, to build the wealth in your community. Why people build the wealth in their community? Economic developments for themselves, and then we want them to do it for us. And they should help us because we're all God's people. But if they work on their race first, how could you be angry? And if they give their race more than they give us, why are we angry? Yeah, that's what they should do. And they share some of them share, and some of them will never share. Some of them will never give us as a black people anything. And if they do, it's going to be leftover overcharged, overpriced if we get it. And look, I don't blame them. I would bill my people first. I would do for my people first, and when I get to you, I will give some of you, and then I'm gonna. And what they do is continue to charge you, overcharge you, because they can, because we are not doing anything for ourselves. When you got churches pulling in millions of dollars a year and not building anything in the black community. And I'm talking about black preachers. Churches, all churches should be involved. We're all supposed to be God's people, reaching out, helping one another. That's what we're supposed to be doing. But now that you have this race division, and they're like, we're white, you're black, we're blue, we're green, and they're helping each other, we should be helping our people. When you're raking that kind of money per year, and you're not doing anything in the black community to help develop the black community. You're not building any businesses and helping black people start their businesses, let them get a good footing so they don't go out and have to get a loan from from our white counterparts, who's going to put usury to it and double usury. The loan that a black person gets, two people can go into a bank, one black, one white, want to start the same business. But that white person will get the loan. If the black person get the loan, it's going to be with such a high interest rate that he's not going to make it. Sounds good. He's excited. He accepts the loan, or she accepts the loan. But before a month or two is up, if by the time they get the doors open, the payment to the loan is due. Haven't had a chance to build that wealth. Haven't had a chance for people to know that, hey, I'm here. Come patronize me. I'm over here in the corner. They don't have enough money to advertise. They didn't give them enough. They gave them just enough to fail. But now they got this big old payment they have to make back. Their own lifestyle is in jeopardy because that they have that money from their business. They spent the money, didn't make it, and now they not only owe back the loan, they still have to pay their own household bills, whatever bills they accumulated from borrowing money from the food service people who provide food, the grocers. They got all this stuff on top of them now. When, as a black community, and all you mega churches pulling in all this money, supposed to come in and share the wealth. Let some people develop their business. Buy land. Build on that land. Put up some buildings or shopping mall. And put some people in. Maybe you can start 8 people, 10 people on a business. Maybe more. Start their business. Once you get them started, let them come in and not pay a dime for rent. It's not your money. It's God's money. God gave you the power to get the wealth. God made sure that you had that money so you could share the wealth. And if you don't believe it, I got scriptures for you. And I know you know the scriptures. You just ignore them. And that's why God has had me to talk about these things, because it's 11:59 on the clock of destiny for all you preachers. And preachers are not the only one held accountable. You movie stars, African-American movie stars, you got money. You can pitch into this pot. There needs to be a meeting of the minds. There needs to be a meeting of the minds. Come together and decide what you're going to do economically. Make a big impact. Not just give us a turkey on Christmas and Thanksgiving with a few fixings and feel like you shared the wealth. No. So once a year, I stall through the whole entire year, and then you're going to give me a turkey on Christmas and Thanksgiving, a goodwill gesture. Now, I told you it's not a message of condemnation. I'm not condemning you doing that. I'm just letting you know that you giving me a boat so I can go fishing, but the boat got a hole in it. So what happens? I might catch a fish before I sink. Either way it go, the odds are stacked against me. You're doing the same thing we're accusing a white man of doing. You stack the odds against me. You give me food for that time. So the rest of the year, I got to fend for myself. for that whole year. If you know I need it for Christmas and Thanksgiving, you know I must need it the rest of the year round. I need some assistance. So what we do, we die until the next Christmas, and if we make it, I'll get that turkey and that ham with the fixings around it. Then I got to stand in line where I'm embarrassed because I do have a little pride. I would like some secrecy. I don't want people knowing all my business, so I don't even go get your turkey. Do I want it? Yeah. Do I need it? Mm-hmm. But I don't want to go stand in that line. And I'm not going to starve just because I'm proud. No, the lines are long. People in wheelchairs, people on walkers, they can't stand there that long. There's a reason a lot of people don't go. But the Bible said when you do your alms for the needy, for the poor, don't blow a trumpet. And that's what you do. If I got to stand in this line, you blowing the trumpet. So all I'm saying is that the wealth supposed to be shared. God said so. And you're not sharing the wealth. You're giving us a handout and not a hand. We need a hand. We need opportunities to build like Caucasian people do for other Caucasian people. They get a loan much lesser than ours. Their payment time is a longer time before they have to pay back than ours. And it's their money. They can set it up like that. Is it unrighteous? I think so. But it's theirs. They're going to help their people first. And that makes common sense to me. So if you don't believe what I'm saying, and I know you do, and I know you know the scriptures, let's talk about what God said about you preachers first, and then you other millionaires or thousandaires who got a good bit of thousands of dollars, close to $1 million who could help out. Okay. Before I go to that, I want to finish saying that you could buy land, put buildings on it, or nice flea market areas with coverings where the overhead won't be that much, like for a whole lot of lights and all of that. The business could be during the day. When it's shut down, like in the flea market, it's shut down. You have to put in the lights and all that. But you could put in nice little individual stands where people can have their little business there with the electrical outing and stuff like that, restrooms and everything. But you can do something to get these people started. Get the Black community moving. Develop in the Black community. Develop businesses so we don't have to go to our white counterparts. So we don't have to be looking for a handout from our white counterparts. Every tub is standing on its own bottom except our tub. We need a tub. We need our tub to stand on its own bottom. That's what we need. And you all could help us. That's why God gave you the money. Now, I want you to know that God is kind of ticked off about what's going on, making him look like he ain't doing nothing for the Black community, making God look like he don't care about the Black community. That's what you're doing. And that is not the truth. God does for all his people, Asians, the Africans, the African Americans, the Caucasians, the Italians, the Vietnamese, everybody, the Irish, everybody. God does for all his people because he loves us. He said he doesn't have any respect of person. So why does it look like God had respect of person when it comes to us, the Black people? Because that's what it looked like when you look at it from the distorted view that it has been cast in. God don't discriminate against his people. He loves us all. He created us all. He created color because he thought it was beautiful. The color was not supposed to be a barrier, but it is. The language was distorted because it was something that we as a people were doing, not for separation. Color is beauty. The language become beautiful, and God fixed it. We can learn it if we wanted to. Okay, now, but we make God look like he's doing nothing for our community, and you preachers are at the top of the line guilty. If I had a gavel, I'd bang it. Guilty. It's 11:59 and you are hereby about to be sentenced. When is your 1 minute up? When is it up? Because if you die before you put God's money to use like he wanted you to, he told you to share the wealth and you're not doing it, you're going to wake up in hell. Bottom line, I'm crying out. I'm sounding the alarm. This is a wake up call. This is a wake up message. I'm shaking you. I'm slapping you. You ever done something and said, I wish somebody would have shook me. I wish somebody would have slapped me. I wish somebody would have talked to me. Okay, here am I. I'm shaking you. I'm slapping you. I am talking to you to tell you to wake up. You need to wake up because if you don't wake up, you're going to wake up in hell. And that is a fact. God don't lie. He don't die and he don't fail. He said, no sin shall enter into the kingdom of heaven. It's a sin for you to take God's money like some pirate, keep it all to yourself, store it in a barn, in a bank, and it's all for you. Now you're gonna sit back, kick back, relax, and go on all these lavish vacations and buy all these lavish clothes and eat all these lavish exotic foods and drinks all by your lonesome. You, your four, and no more. Guilty as charged. It's 11:59, my brothers and my sisters. It's 11:59 on the clock of destiny. Wake up. But don't wake up in hell. Now listen. God talks about you long before you were born. Before I formed you in your mother's belly, I knew you. Before you came forth out of your mother's womb, I sanctified you and I ordained you a prophet and even a prophetess unto the nation. I called you. I equipped you, he said, before you came out your mother's womb. You did run well, but who hindered you that you do not obey the truth? Who hindered you that you don't obey my word? I told you, if you got two coats, share with him that has none. If you have food, share with them that has none. You got two pair of shoes, give unto him that has none. Isn't that sharing your wealth? What part did you miss? Now listen, back in the day, we were putting anti-seeds and mint in the basket and coins. But nowadays, there's no anti-seeds and mint in that basket. There's lots of greenbacks in that basket. And you're supposed to share the wealth. Take care of the widows, he told you. A lot of stuff y'all not doing. A lot of stuff you're not doing. Share the wealth. Build the wealth in your community. Build the wealth among the people is what he's saying. If he tell you to give him a pair of shoes, what is he doing? He's building their wealth. He don't have a coat. Building the wealth. He don't have food. Build his wealth. Help him. Help her. What's the problem? Greed is the problem. That's the problem. And God is ticked off. I'm here to tell you, he's ticked off you. 11:59. Now watch this. Been talking about you before you was even born. He knew you and formed you in your mother's belly, gave you a commandment, and you walked away from the commandment. You got the word of God. You read it. If you wouldn't read it, you couldn't preach. So you know the word of God. That's why God, that's why you're gonna be guilty in the judgment. The books were open. And I saw those small and great, rich and poor, free and bound, stand before God. Hello, Mr. Preacher. Hello, Mrs. Preacher. Evangelist, teacher, preacher, reacher. I'll be standing before God in a couple of minutes. Go to Isaiah 56 and 10. It says, his watchmen are blind. They're all ignorant. They are all dumb dogs that cannot bark. sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber. Yea, they are greedy dogs, which can never have enough. They are shepherds that cannot understand. They all look to their own way. Everyone for his gain, from his quarter. God called you watchmen of the devil. He says his watchmen are blind. He said mine. He said his watchmen are blind. You become a watchman for the devil. Your deeds are devilish. You sweep up all the wealth like that. God gave you a strict commandment to share the wealth. God said you're not his shepherd. You're not none of his watchmen. He said you are blind. You're blinded to his word. The cares and riches of this world have blinded you. They're a greedy dog. God call you a greedy dog. How about that? You know, I'm too short the box with God, baby. How about that? You're a greedy dog. He said you can never have enough. Greedy dogs. And he said you cannot balk. You can't even preach. Meaning you, for as God concerned, you can't preach. Sleeping, lying down. You're slowful. You're lazy. And you love to slumber. And then he said, they are greedy dogs which can never have enough. They always pay your tithe. The priest message about paying your tithe, paying your tithe, paying your tithe. Where's your offering? Put your offering in. Man, you can never have enough, no matter what it is. Then you got a building fund. You got a pastor's anniversary, pastor appreciation, pastor's birthday. All that would be fine if you was doing God's will. But it's just greed. It's just greed. If you was doing God's will, collecting like that because you want to build the wealth in the community, help people get their businesses started so we all can become fruitful. We all could become people that's able to help in the community. That's giving in the community. That's doing great things in the community. But God called you a greedy dog, saying you never have enough. No matter how much you get, God said you can never have enough. You're a watchman of the devil, and you'll never have enough. Does that sound like you? Really examine yourselves. Don't get angry. Examine what I'm saying and check yourself out. Look at yourself in the spiritual mirror. Get in your spiritual mirror and examine yourself. He said, you're a greedy dog, which you never have enough. Yeah, I'm beating horse because you need to wake up. You need to wake up and get in the right position with God because it's 11:59. He said, there are shepherds that cannot understand. They all look for their own way, everyone for his gain. That's your gain, not gaining. You're not looking to gain for the community. You're not looking to gain to build the kingdom of heaven. For your own gain, he said. Now listen, let this word, let God break the folly grounds of your heart before you wake up dead and in hell. Let the word break the folly grounds of your heart. You need to be a meeting of the mind. Get with some other mega church preachers and middle church preachers, and y'all get together. Call on some of these rich movie stars, African American rich movie stars, and get some donations and start building. And then you build around the country. And then have the people start paying it forward once they get on their feet. And then you move off and do another set and another set. So everybody's set. And he said, from his own gain, from his own quarter. That quarter means your time, your season. Now that you're in the season, you heaping up this money and riches which God allowed you to, and you put it in a barn, in a bank, all for you and your four and no more. Now listen, remember Luke 12 and 18. I discussed it in another video about the rich man who took all his wealth God had bestowed upon him. What he did, his grounds grew, flourished. Whatever it was he was growing, whatever his commodity was, it flourished. So much so, he said, I don't have enough room for all my riches, all that I've accumulated. Oh my God, I don't have enough. He had an epiphany. He said, I'm going to tear these bones down and I'm going to build me even greater bones. I'm going to build some larger places to store all my goods. And he did just that. And when he finished, he sat back and he looked and he said, man, I got enough money. I got enough to last me for years and years and years. I'm going to kick back, relax. I'm going to go on a vacation cruise, put my feet up and relax. I ain't going to worry about nothing now. And he did just that. He built bigger barns and stuck all his riches in them barns and laid back. God got angry with him. God said, you fool. Your soul is required. I didn't give you that for your for and no more. That's not why I put all of that in your hand. That's not why I made your ground flourish. That's not why I made you a trillionaire or a millionaire or a billionaire or a thousandaire. That's not why I put all that money in your hand. You're supposed to help my people. You're supposed to build the wealth in your community. Some economic development should be happening. He made God angry. Why you think God was angry? And God called him a fool. So are you that fool? Preachers, teachers, readers, evangelists, bishops, and popes? Are you that fool? To store God money up in a bond, which is today known as the bank? All for you, your for and no more? You just done jack God out of his money. Not listening, you took it, and not listening to nothing he said to do with it. Boy, you a bad dude. What? To laugh at you. You bad. Now you talk about gangster as gangster. You ain't met the biggest one walking. That's the Almighty God. Man is absolute gangster. Man, they keyed him off in the wilderness. He opened up the ground and swallowed that particular tribe of Korah. Buried them boogers alive. Just swallowed them up to be seen no more. Heard from nothing. Well, you don't know who you're playing with. Or you done jacked God. I don't want to laugh, but you bold. Man, I have to laugh at your boldness to not to be so fearful for you. And I am fearful for you. You are in contempt of court. You done peed off the ultimate judge. Your lawyer done walked out on you because he knows there's no hope for you. The Holy Ghost done departed from you. How you gonna walk over God? Excuse me. How you gonna walk over God? How you gonna jack God? Man, I feel so bad. I feel so bad for you. Now, listen at this. You know you robbing God because he hadn't talked about it all through his word, even in the tithes and offerings. When they put that letter, that epistle out about tithes and offering, will a man rob God? Y'all gave that to the people. But God was talking to you preachers. Will a man rob God? Malachi 3 and 8. Wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and in offering. Bring ye all the tithes and offering to the storehouse, that there may be meat in my house and prove me, wherewith said the Lord of hosts. He said, prove me. Y'all not proving God. Y'all spending all the money. Instead of making people know that God loved them, He'll put the money in your hand. Instead of making the people of God know that He loved them, He's looking out for them, He cares for their welfare and their well-being, you make it look like God don't give a ding dong. Not about the black community. That's the way it looks. All right, go here to Luke 16 and 19, where it says, there was a certain rich man who was clothed in purple and fine linen and fared sumptuously every day. And there was a beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at his gate, full of sores, desiring to be fed with the crumbs that fell from the rich man's table. Okay, it said the dogs came and licked his sores. Now, the dogs was more nicer to the man than the beggar than the rich man. The dogs came and licked his sores. And it says, moreover, the beggar died and was carried away into Abraham's bosom. And then the rich man also died, but in hell he lifted up his eyes. The rich man went to hell. Why? Why did he go to hell? The rich man went to hell. And he said, being in torment, he begged to return to earth. He said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me and send Lazarus that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. That's Luke 16 and 19. Now, what part of hell don't he understand? He wants some water. Now, the purpose of putting you in hell because you've done something wrong. You don't get pleasures in hell. And he said, I have brothers who are also believing what I believed in, act like me. I need to talk to them before they also wind up in this place of torment. Abraham said, no, I can't help you. He said, even if I wanted to help you, there is a great gulf fixed between you and me. God has put a division there. I can't come to you. You can't come to me. If you could come to me, then you could get out of hell. And I am about to come in hell for you, Brother Abraham might have said. So why did he go to hell? Because he didn't share the wealth. That's why he went to hell. He didn't share the wealth. Okay. The rich man with the barn, okay, who stored his money in the barn, I know he in hell. God said your soul is required. He died and he didn't make it into heaven. Because he didn't share the wealth. He didn't do what God told him to do. We pick up the Bible. We read the Bible, we take away from it what we want and not necessarily what God wants, and what happens with that? We get in trouble. We want to read what we want to read. We want to put it like we want to put it. This is serious. This is dead serious. All right. Remember Ananias and Sapphira, Acts 5? When they lied to the Holy Ghost, they were supposed to sell a piece of land and bring back the money that they received from the land. But when they got the money, they got greedy and kept back part of the money. And the Holy Ghost was angry with them. And he said, the feet, he said, these men here, they're going to walk you out of here. He dropped dead. They rolled him up in the rug, carried him out from lying to the Holy Ghost. Then his wife come along and lied about what amount of money she received. And Paul told her the same feet that carried your husband out is here to carry you out. She hit that floor. They rolled her up, took her out of there. Paul and Peter and them was gathering the wealth. It was wealth building. It was building their Christian community economic development. They didn't want to have to go for people they was preaching against to get money to fund their expeditions all over the world to preach the gospel. So they was building that wealth that people could come to them for loans and didn't have to pay usury. The Christians could go to them for loans. They could fund the expeditions they were going on, preaching the gospel around the world. They were trying to share the wealth. They were trying to fix it where they would be on an even, not evil, even, they would have an even foothold as their counterparts who were against Jesus Christ. They was trying to get an even foothold going by building money in that Christian community. And they lied. So that some more people went to hell for not sharing the wealth. It's all in the scriptures. You can't deny what God is saying about sharing the wealth. God said, behold, if you look at the book of Isaiah 59 and verse 1, he said, behold, the Lord's hand is not shortened that it cannot save, neither is his ear heavy that he cannot hear. But your iniquities have separated between you and your God. You separated yourself from God. God's hand is not short, but it looks like it's short in the black community. It looks like he can't hear because we have nothing. Because y'all keeping all the wealth. It looked like God is not hearing our cries for, Lord, please help me start my own business. Lord, please help me to get this done, get that done. It looked like God is not listening because you're lying on God in a particular way. You're making a bandit out of God in the black community. You're making it seem like we can pray 400 years and nothing happens. And that's a lie. That is a lie. Our God is a very generous and loving God. And he's put his wealth, trusted his wealth to you. And there was a parable that said, God, in I think it was the book of Matthew, where God had likened the kingdom of heaven unto a man going to a foreign country and leaving all his wealth with his servants. And he gave one man 5 talents, another one 2 talents, another 1 talent. And when he left, he was expecting to come back and see they had developed the talents. So the one with the 5 gained 5 more. The one with the 2 gained 2 more. The one that had the 1 talent, he buried it. The Bible didn't say he buried it in a barn, but I'm going to tell you, he buried it in a barn for safekeeping, like you did. And he got punished when God came back. God called him wicked. And that's what you are, wicked. God has left you with the wealth, and you have buried the talents. So only you can dig it up when it's time. Supposed to share the wealth, and you're not doing it. Okay. So Anna, all these scriptures point to not sharing the wealth and how God was angry with the people. Now, all these other people who give loans and everything, they set the black people up to fail. They give them just enough to fail. Just like that turkey and that ham around Christmas time. It's just enough to fail. Is it not a good deed? That's a good deed. It is a good deed. It's nice. Not profitable. It's like giving me a boat with a hole in it. It lasts only for a little bit of season. That's not right. All right. You're pirates. That's 11:59 for all you pirates. It's all the people who are not doing what God wants them to do. 11:59 on the clock of destiny, brothers and sisters. Like I said, this is not a message of condemnation. This is a sounding alarm. Wake up, wake up, wake up. I wake out of your sleep, old slugger. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hand to sleep. Why? because you got so much wealth you can do it. Who sleeps like that? Only two people sleep like that. Somebody who's totally, absolutely given up on life. Sleeping, 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 sleeping. Nothing wrong with you, just sleeping. And the other person is somebody who has lots of money, sleeping and slumbering. The type of slumbering God is talking about is that, you partying and taking big vacations, buying Lexus, Mercedes, Lamborghinis, Rolls Royce, and all those top of the line vehicles. Some of you even got yachts. Some of you have even purchased airplanes and jets with God's money. Talking about you need to get to point A to point B to preach. God put up this social media here. It's all over the world. No, you just got another speaking engagement. You want to be seen, so you go and you get good money from it. Money you don't really need. Call yourself staying like in a loop, but it's nothing but trouble because you raking all this wealth, but have not done what God had commanded you to do. He said, "Why call me ye Lord, Lord, and do not what I say? Why do you call me Lord and don't listen to me? You don't do what I tell you to do. You don't say what I tell you to say. You don't go where I tell you to go. You don't help who I tell you to help. If my people, which are called by my name, humble themselves, seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, I'll heal their land." The land ain't healed. The people still sick. You're not preaching nothing, a watered down gospel because you're scared they're going to leave, and you're not going to have tithes and offerings and to rake in, take your lavish vacations and all that kind of stuff. Just to put God on the side. The very man that gave you the power to create the wealth. Share it, my brothers and sisters. Wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. 11:59. Hell is hot. The Bible says there should be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Now, some of those things that are said, words that are used, I think got lost in the translation. Who's in a hot fire weeping? Screaming with gnashing of teeth? Yes. So you're going to be screaming. Ain't nobody just weeping. Oh, no, you ain't going to weep in that fire. You're going to scream and gnash your teeth. And there will be no escape for it. Yeah, Mary Kay Baxter, and I forget a couple of other authors that wrote the book about 23 minutes in hell and 27 minutes in hell and all that kind of stuff. Many people have testified where God took them and showed them things that they'll come back and preach. I don't get preached it. I've read some of the books. I've seen some of the audios of it. Don't stay asleep. The cares and riches of this world has choked God's word in you, and you've become unfruitful. You have become unfruitful. You are a pirate, a mugger, a robber, and a thief, Mr. Preacher, Mrs. Preacher. And also, this word is for you who preach another gospel, like you movie star. That's your gospel where you preach. That's a beautiful thing. But God has given you a way to make wealth, and you too can pitch in and help build the Black community. You don't have to be second-class citizens as they have said that we are, because they always have to reach out and help us. I was in a shelter in Katrina. The shelter was mixed with every race you could think of. All them people came in, got the Vietnamese people came and got the Vietnamese. The Indian people came and got the Indian people. The white people helped the white people. When it was finished, the only people in that shelter was all Black. God help me if I lie. It was all Black people left in that shelter. And I kept looking up. Where this one went? I noticed a lot of things. I would say nothing, but I pay attention to a lot of stuff. And some of those things just come like obvious to me. I was wondering where everybody went. Only black people was left in this shelter. You might have saw a little white man here or there. And he was a late straggler or something that he got left behind. But not an Indian, not a Vietnamese, not a Spanish person. I kid you not. All their people with their built communities came, got their people. We were left in the shelter waiting. See, another thing, when the town hall, when the riots was going on, the protesting and stuff, not the riots followed, but the protesting went on during after George Floyd was murdered. He was killed, and many other African American males were killed, and the riots began to the protests began to escalate, and the riots followed. And I was Googling and looking around for some kind of a town hall meeting so we could come together and talk about what we could do to try to help get some of this stuff rectified. You know, come up with a list of who was talking about a list of demands of what we may want to see happen, try to make some changes in the changes for the people in the black community, especially for our black males. And then there wasn't one, absolutely not one meeting going on. I couldn't find it. I went to certain parties who was out there marching, talking to them about if they're going to be any meetings held or whatever, you know, and no, we don't know anybody. Like, okay, now listen, way back in like the 17 or 1800s or something when Nat Turner lived, they were so segregated and so set apart. But this man managed to put together a coup. And they talked about what they were going to do to free themselves and maybe come back later and free other black people. And they did that. They did what they could do. They were outnumbered, outdone, but they did that. That was because he held a meeting and talked to those he could talk to. They had a secret town hall meeting. But we in the black community, we don't have that. I'm going to talk about something on the news or, you know, a couple of senators got together and had a little meeting. But I'm talking about actually getting the people involved in these meetings, not just our senators and mayors and stuff sitting in a room in their own little private room all by themselves. I'm talking about actual citizens who's not on any political stand, who don't have a political career. Sitting in these town hall meetings, talking about some of this stuff, what we could do, reach out to the other people. They don't hold meetings like that. But this man from the 1800s with little education at all, barely could speak the language at all, had a mixed language going on. I mean, absolutely uneducated because they weren't allowed to be educated. Pulled together a town hall meeting enough to form a coup. What's wrong with us? I just wanted to throw that point in. But back to our ministers, preachers, teachers, reachers, evangelists, bishops, popes, and the like. Street preachers, you know, Bible study teachers, everybody. Movie stars, singers, gospel singers, blues singers, R&B singers of the African American persuasion. Come on. We can do this. We can end all of this. We can fix this. Being second-class citizens, always needing assistance. We can fix this. We are a mighty people, a strong people. We are people that God picked out and chosen. You notice there's nobody else that look like us. All the other races could be mistaken for each other until they open their mouth, speaking with another accent or another language. But us, there's no mistaking black people. Even if we got what you call mixed race, even our mixed race of African Americans and Caucasians, the child more than likely looks black. You can tell there's some Negroid in them. We're unmistakable. God designed us that way. But Italians, Caucasians, Irish, many of them people, you don't know one from the other until they open their mouth. Uh, Vietnamese look different. Chinese and Vietnamese, they look different. But then you got Vietnamese and Chinese and all that. You can't tell them from each other. They look alike. Indians is the closest people that kind of look like us, but you still can distinguish them from us. Their hair texture is totally different. Even though they're dark skinned, their hair and their nose is totally different. But us, you ain't gonna mistake us for nobody else. It's not gonna happen. It won't happen. God made us unique. We are uniquely and marvelously, fantastically made. Poured in a little deep dark chocolate, dark chocolate, and milk chocolate. And what? Cookies and cream chocolate, white chocolate. But you still can distinguish us. There's no mistaking us. So we need to be proud. We need to come together and make God proud, build the community, build Black economic wealth, pool the money together, somebody you trust, have a meeting of the minds on what you can do, how it can be done. Come up with something that the people can work with to make sure you get them started in their businesses. There's a lot of people. There was a man that had a Krispy Kreme donut shop some years back. I'm sorry, not Krispy Kreme. He had I think it was a Honey Whip. That's what it was. Honey Whip donuts. He opened up on a corner down here in Louisiana. He was on a corner, and those were the best donuts I had ever tasted. They were delicious, and it was soft, and they were so good. He didn't last for about 3 months. The donuts was very good. Had to get a caught on. He would have been very successful if enough people knew that he was there to keep him open. But I think he was gone in about 3 months. There's so many people who are talented. They got people who design food and, and cook all types of wonderful, delicious dishes, some great delicacies, but they can't get their business launched because they don't have the money. They don't have the capital. There are people who are unique, people who work with their hands. I know a lady makes some of the most beautiful flower arrangements, wreaths for all occasions. She does all kind of beautiful stuff for children. She makes stuff with her hand, but she can't get a business started. She doesn't have the money. There's a guy that makes paintings that are so unique. Yeah, I saw it on the internet. He's not making any money off of it. He needs to be in a place where people walking by really get a look at this stuff. Give them a chance to get started. Make sure they can advertise the business when you help them. They need a hand up to get started. There's some very, very talented people in the Black community. I've seen girls fix people's hair. They didn't have a nickel worth of hair on their head. They're doing it out their kitchen and fix their hair. It looks so gorgeous, looks so wonderful. They're just talented, but they can't get their Black business rolling because they don't have the capital. They're doing it out their house. It worked for some people because they have little children. But for those who could start a business, need the help. They need to hand up financial. They need a financial hand up. So my brothers and sisters, I hope this message helped you. I hope it was the eye opening, the alarm, the shaking that you needed. So I want to say God bless you and God keep you. This is Bella's Topics. Have a wonderful week.